got something on the board. On the kids. Repeat, on the kids. Okay, I got him. We're coming out.
You've just witnessed the most exciting thing that has happened in the fire service in recent memory. We should know because Bullard is proud to have served the industry with life-saving products and services for over 100 years. Hi, I'm Jed Bullard. Thermal imaging is the next big step in our journey to save lives. In fact, a Bullard thermal imager was recently used to save a 2-year-old boy in Franklin, Indiana. Both the family and the firefighters credit the thermal imaging camera for saving the toddler's life. And not just civilians are benefiting from thermal imaging. 4 firefighters avoided disaster in Granbury, Texas, when an impending roof collapse was spotted with a Bullard thermal imager. We know your work is critical to your community, and it's important to us at Bullard. That's why Bullard will always back you with our support package. It's our effort to be the best product and service support program in the firefighting industry. Thank you for purchasing the Bullard thermal imager. And welcome to the Bullard family.
My name is Mike Richardson. I'm Bullard's Thermal Imaging Training Specialist. Welcome to the new and exciting world of thermal imaging. You now have the most exciting piece of equipment to hit the fire service since the SCBA and hydraulic extrication tool. There's no doubt it's going to help you save civilian lives. More importantly, it's going to help keep you safe on the fire ground. Just like any other tool or any other piece of equipment, you're going to need some experience and some training. So our objectives today are threefold. First, identify the features and operating procedures for the Bullard thermal imager. Second, understand the terminology and basic theory associated with thermal imaging. Finally, identify several key applications of thermal imaging technology. Of course, the place to start is not here on the fire ground, it's back at the fire station. I guess the best place to start will be inventory all the equipment. Probably the easiest way to do that will be use the checkoff list that comes with the equipment itself.
Good. I'll read that off then. Let's see if we've got it here. We got a carrying case, obviously. The Bullard thermal imager, battery charger.
Right. It's right here.
Battery charger. Okay. Does it come? It says AC/DC.
Right. Your battery charger is going to come with a DC or AC power supply, either one.
Good. A direct charge cord.
Right. This is a direct charge cord. You'll hook this up from the battery charger to the unit itself. That way you can charge the battery in the unit. You don't have to actually put it in a battery charger.
Okay. Now that strap, is that the shoulder strap for this?
Right. That's the shoulder strap. This goes on.
Okay, good enough. 2 nickel metal hydride batteries. I see there's only one there, so.
Okay. One's going to come in the box and one's going to come in the unit itself. They're both charged up, ready to go. So.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Warranty card.
Make sure you fill that out and send that back. That's real important. That way we can keep in touch with you. Validate your warranty on the unit.
Good, good. And instruction manual.
Right.
And let's see what else. Orientation video.
Right. This is your orientation video. As a training officer, you can take this later on, sit down with your guys, and go over it. It'll give you all the information you need on how to use and operate the unit.
All right, good enough. Now, it also says that we have the optional wireless transmitter package, which is this.
Right, exactly, right here.
Okay. Now, how do we know that there is a transmitter inside the unit?
Okay, you can tell there's a transmitter inside the unit. It'll have the transmit button right here, and it's marked transmitter. If a unit doesn't have a transmitter inside of it, that button won't be on it.
Oh, okay, that's easy. All right, then let's go through this. So we got a carrying case for it.
Right.
We've got the AC/DC powered receiving unit.
Right, here's a receiving unit, and as you said, it does come with the, once again, it also has the AC and DC power supplies, so you can power it either way.
Okay, video connection cable. Is that what that is?
Right, this will go from the receiving unit box to whatever source you're using, could be TV or VCR.
Anything. Okay, right. Good enough. Patch antenna.
Right, this is your antenna that's going to pick up your signal.
And the cord that comes with that.
Right, and this will connect from the patch antenna to the box.
Good. Right. Again, let's see, mounting tripod.
Right, and this is what you mount your patch antenna on. You can set it up wherever you want on a vehicle, whatever the case may be.
That's compact. That's neat. Okay. Warranty card? Is there a separate warranty card for this?
Correct. Though you'll have 2 warranty cards. One will come with each unit. Once again, make sure you fill it out and send it back in. Okay.
And what about the instruction manual for this one?
Right. You also have an instruction manual. The instructions for the unit itself and the receiving equipment, it's all in the same book, but we send you two. That way you have two copies.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's good. And what else? FCC licensing form.
Right. You also have this. You'll need to fill this out and send it back. The transmitter has to be licensed by FCC, so this paperwork's pretty self-explanatory and it's pretty easy to fill out. If you have any questions, give us a call. We can help you fill it out, but make sure you fill it out and send it back. All the information is right here in the paperwork.
Okay, good. Well, what do you think? Is that everything?
I think pretty much have everything. If for some reason you happen to notice that something was missing or anything, you can call our 800 number, and we'll be happy to work with you on that.
I see it's on the box too in the case.
Right, exactly.
Itself. Okay. Well, then why don't we look at the operating procedures for the Bullard thermal imager?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. How do we get the thermal imager operating?
Okay, as far as operating procedures, obviously first thing we need to do is get some power for the unit. So
Mhm.
first thing we're going to want to do is put a battery in. It's real simple. You open up the clips on the battery compartment, take your battery, place the battery in the unit. It's real easy to figure out how it goes in. There's an arrow on the battery itself which indicates the right direction.
All right. What if you can't see the arrow though?
Okay, if you have limited visibility, there's a notch on the battery. If you keep that notch to the left side when you place it in,
All
it'll
right.
go in correctly.
Okay.
Also, if you place the battery in and the compartment door won't close all the way, it's in the wrong way. So
All
you know
right.
to take it out and switch it around.
That's easy to remember. Okay.
Close the latches on the battery compartment. Once we've got the battery in, obviously next thing we'll turn the unit on. On and off buttons right here. It's the big green button.
Mm-hmm.
You push it. Once you push the button, you should get an indication on here from the battery indicator and from the sleep mode.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure when you put a battery in that when the indicator comes on, you have a fully charged battery.
I see.
Okay. It'll take about 10 to 15 seconds. Then you'll get a display. The actual image will come up on the unit itself.
Okay, there it is. Now what's that line?
Okay. Once that comes up, you'll notice there's a line of colors across the bottom.
Right.
It means the unit's going through its calibration. That'll stay up for about 10 to 15 seconds. Then that line will go away and a little white box will remain in the bottom left corner. That's just a reference point for you.
All right.
Okay.
Good enough. Tell me again about the sleep mode. What is that all about?
Okay. Sleep mode. That's a way of conserving battery power. And what you can do is when you push the sleep mode button, which is right here, the yellow button, the screen will disengage and the transmitter will disengage. That conserves power. But when you push the sleep mode button again, they instantly come back on.
Okay.
That way you don't have that 10 to 15 second delay like you do with the on and off button.
All right. It saves the battery too.
Exactly right. That's extending your battery life.
Okay, good. Now tell me about the battery. How long does it last in the unit?
Okay. On typical operating conditions, you're going to get about an hour and a half out of it. If you're transmitting all the time, it's going to cut the time down to about an hour.
Okay. Then when you want to recharge it, what do you do?
Okay. If you want to recharge a battery, you've got two options. One, you can charge a battery in the unit, or you can charge a battery in the battery charger. Okay.
Okay.
Either way, the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to set up your battery charger. Your battery charger has an AC and DC power supply, so you can use whichever one you would like. They're connected on the back of the charger.
Okay.
Okay. Once you've done that, obviously the first thing you'll probably want to do is charge a battery in the unit itself.
Okay.
What you'll do then is you'll connect the cable, the direct charge cable, to the charger, and then you'll take that cable and connect it to the unit itself.
All right.
Now, once you've done that, you should get the indication light to come on.
Okay.
Now, when that light first comes on, that light should be red. Now, then as the battery charges, it of course will turn green, indicating this has a good battery charge.
All right. And
Okay.
you can also charge it, that battery in here.
Exactly. What you can do then is take the battery,
Right.
make sure it lines up correctly. The contacts here on the battery meet up with the contacts in the charger. If you don't put it in the right way, the light won't come on.
Okay.
Okay. Once you put this battery in, once again, the light should come on. It'll be red. When it's done charging, it'll turn green.
Looks like you can charge that battery and this battery at the same time.
Exactly. You can. Now, what'll happen is this battery will get preference. It'll receive more energy first and will charge first rather than this one.
Okay, good. And how long does it take then to recharge these?
Basically, if you're charging a single battery, it'll take about 45 minutes to an hour. If you're going to charge two batteries at the same time, that'll go up to about an hour and a half.
And can you overcharge them? I mean, is there a,
No, you can't
if you
overcharge
forget it
them.
and leave it on for 2 hours,
No, it's not a problem. It'll switch over to a trickle charge. So
okay.
you can leave the batteries in the charger or in the unit, and you can leave the thing hooked up. You don't have to worry about it cooking the battery.
Okay, good.
Okay, so we've covered the basic operating procedures. So
Right. Okay. Let's see. We went through the on and off button, the sleep mode, all the indicators on here. Yeah, here's a question for you. I saw this earlier. What is this dial right here?
okay, that's what we call the thermal throttle. Basically, what that is a way for you to control the contrast of the screen on the image that you're seeing.
Ah.
Allows you to darken it or lighten it depending on whichever one you prefer.
Mhm.
Normally, you can set it all the way open and forget about it. You really don't have to make any adjustments. But if you want to control the contrast on the picture, it allows you to do it yourself.
Okay. And the transmitter. Now, what do we do to get this going?
Okay, as far as the transmitter itself goes, you really don't have to do anything. It's inside the unit. All you're really going to have to do is push the button to turn it on, turn it off. But what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to set up the receiving equipment.
Okay. Well, let's see that. How do we
Okay,
do
to set up the receiving equipment, probably the first thing you want to do is set up your patch antenna.
that? Mhm.
And it's pretty simple to do. Take your tripod, attach it to the antenna itself, just threads on. Once you've got that set up, you can set the antenna up wherever it's most convenient. You're going to want to have it facing wherever the imager is itself transmitting.
Mhm.
And that could be on top of a vehicle, whatever the case may be. You're going to make sure you connect
Oh,
your
sections, I see.
right
Good.
to make sure it stays down.
Yeah, that's nice.
Hook up your cable.
Mhm.
And these cables themselves, they only go on one way, so you don't have to worry about putting the wrong connection in the wrong place.
All right.
Okay.
Well, that's good.
Next thing, the receiving box, you'll need to set it up. As far as the box goes itself, basically it has two power supplies as well. So you can use an AC or DC power supply.
Mhm.
Let's say, for example, you want to set it up inside your vehicle, use this power supply, connect it on the box where it's marked, obviously power in.
All right.
Once you've done that, next thing you'll want to do is connect your antenna. It goes to the area that's marked antenna port.
All right. It's very simple. Yeah.
Once again, you don't have to worry about the wrong connection going in the wrong place. It's pretty
Everything's
simple,
marked
straightforward.
clearly.
Right. Next thing you'll do then is hook up your video cable. That's going to go to whatever your viewing source could be.
Okay. Like a monitor in the command vehicle.
Exactly. It could be
Okay.
go to a TV, VCR. That way you can record everything that's going on.
Okay.
And basically, that's all you need to do to hook up the unit.
Okay. Then how do you get the image to transfer from the imager to the monitor?
Okay. All you're going to need to do then is push the transmit button, which is right here.
Oh,
When you push the button,
right.
the indicator light up here marked transmitter will come on. That tells you that you're transmitting.
All right. Well, that's simple enough. Okay. Tell me about this. Now, does this have multiple channels? It must have.
Right. This will allow you to use two imagers. You can switch back and forth. Okay, what you're going to need to do then is you're going to need to set one up on channel A and one up on channel B.
Okay. How do you do that?
To do that on the unit, open up the battery compartment,
Mhm.
take the battery out. In the back of the battery compartment, you'll notice there's a switch.
Right. I see
That's the AB switch.
that. Okay.
All the way to the left is channel A, all the way to the right is channel B.
Oh,
So you can set one unit, like I said, on channel A, one unit on channel B.
okay.
But you'll also need to make that same change on your box, your receiving box. To do that, there's a toggle switch on the back marked channel A, channel B. Flip it back and forth. When it's on channel A, it'll view the unit that's on channel A. When it's on channel B, views the unit on channel B. Okay, that covers all the basic operating procedures.
All right. Well, I tell you what, we're going to be using this day in and day out, so it's going to need a lot of cleaning and maintenance. Now, what do we need there?
Actually, it's not going to need a lot of cleaning and maintenance, but we can talk about that.
Okay, good. Okay, you say care and maintenance is easy. How?
Right, exactly. To clean a unit, it's real simple. Take a brush, knock off any of the big buildup of dirt and grime or anything. Take some warm, soapy water and a rag, clean it up.
Mhm.
It's important from time to time that you keep the lens clean. To do that, take some rubbing alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, and a soft cloth and clean it off.
Okay. What if we scratch the LCD cover or tear a strap or something? How do we
Okay.
get those replaced?
If you do any damage to the LCD cover, if it gets scratched or whatever the case, a strap, anything, they're field replaceable. All you need to do is contact your local distributor, give our 800 number a call, and we'll get you some replacements out. It's real simple, comes with instructions. You can do it in a couple minutes.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the basics of thermal imaging. Like, exactly what is it?
Okay, basically with thermal imaging, we're taking infrared radiation and we're detecting it, and we in turn are producing an image from that. So basically, we're looking at the heat signature of a person or an object.
And infrared radiation is what? Exactly?
Technically, it's electromagnetic radiation, like X-rays, something along those lines. Layman's terms, it's energy. It's another form of energy. It's always present.
Okay, you say layman's terms. That's good to say because it reminded me. I've heard a lot of technical talk here
Right,
through this
right.
whole discussion. And is there a place that we can go in the manual or somewhere, maybe in the video, or to get some answers as to glossary?
Sure.
Yeah.
If you have any questions like that, the thermal imaging website, Bullard thermal imaging website,
Okay.
it's always a good place to go. There's a glossary of terms there
Oh, okay.
and a lot of other information. So always check back to the website.
Oh, okay. So where does radiation come from? Infrared radiation.
Infrared radiation comes from anything that has molecular activity. So
It's just about everything, man.
right, anything around us, any person, object, it's always going to have some amount of infrared radiation coming from it.
Okay. How does this unit, the thermal imager, how does it detect the radiation?
Okay, basically what's happening, the radiation is going to, electromagnetic radiation, infrared radiation, it's going to pass through the lens, it's going to strike the detector in the unit. The detector is going to produce a signal, which in turn is going to be transmitted back and give you an image, basically.
Okay,
So-
that's how the human eye works.
Exactly. The only difference is this is looking at infrared and the eye looks at visible light.
Okay, well, we've seen how it works basically and all that. Now, tell me, how does it work on the fire ground?
Right, let's get down to the serious business here.
Right. Why don't we begin with sizing up?
Right, size up's a good place to start. As you know, it's not uncommon to pull up on the scene, have smoke showing, but no flames visible. So
Yeah, well, there's nothing more frustrating, as you know, to an incident commander than trying to determine the seat of the fire from the outside.
exactly, and with the thermal imager, that's real easy to do. You can actually detect where the seat of the fire is. As well, you can also locate and identify spreading or changing fire conditions.
Now, I heard that it cannot detect through walls or glass. So
Right,
how does
right.
it determine where the fire is?
Right. Infrared radiation will not penetrate some materials such as glass, water, or really any solid material or solid object. What's happening there really is the heat or the energy, the infrared radiation is changing the temperature of those materials. For example, if you have a window, the heat from the fire will heat up that window. The window in turn will then appear on your screen lighter than the other windows. If you pull up and notice the top of a structure is white, very light in color, you have a lot of heat build up in that area. That would identify maybe the fire's there or the fire spread.
Mhm.
So based on that, you can determine where the fire's at or where the fire conditions are changing or going to. So,
Okay. Well, we've located the red stuff. Let's put on the wet stuff.
right, fire attack. Okay,
Okay.
talk about that.
Good.
Okay, with fire attack, of course, now that you have a thermal imager, you can actually see the fire even through really heavy smoke conditions. You can actually identify the heat conditions, the heat level, where it's at. And of course, being able to do that now, you can actually put water on fire. You don't have to keep throwing water on smoke. John, you got quite a bit of load yet. Whatever that casting on it.
So you can see the actual effect of the water on the
Right.
fire itself.
Right, exactly. You can actually see where the water's being applied, and you can actually see the effect that the water's having on the fire and or the heat conditions. But I have to caution you again. Remember, infrared radiation will not penetrate water. So if you find yourself in a building where there's a sprinkler system operating, that may appear to you as like a black curtain. It may actually block your ability to see an object or a person. So you have to bear that in mind.
Mhm. Steam, mist. What about that?
Right. Fog or steam. If you got steam from normal firefighting operations, that usually doesn't cause a problem. You can see through that. But if you're in an industry setting where you may have a steam leak and it's a real heavy steam leak, that may actually block your ability to once again see an object or person. So you have to be aware of that.
All right, understood. Well, what about search and rescue? Let's talk about that.
Okay. Search and rescue, I think the incident in Charlottesville, Virginia pretty much sums up the impact thermal imaging is having on search and rescue and really saving lives. In that particular incident, firefighters were able to, one, navigate by sight. They were actually be able to see where they were going, and two, they could actually identify the victim by sight. So,
I'd like to see that myself. Is there any place that we can learn more about that particular save?
right. If you want to learn more about the saves, Bullard has what we call the Save a Life Club.
Mhm.
If you call in 800 number, if you notice it's right here in the case.
Right.
If you've made a save, you can call in, report it to us, and we put that information on our website. So you can always go back to the website and find out about the latest incidents and the latest save that was made with the thermal imager. So,
Okay, so the days of groping around in the dark to find a victim are finally over, huh?
Exactly. And not only that, but the days of trying to navigate in the dark are over. I mean, with a thermal imager, you can actually now see the structure. You can see the furniture in the structure as well. So now with the thermal imager, you can actually navigate by sight and find your way through the structure. You no longer have to feel every piece of furniture, anything else. Also, that helps you identify hazards. You can see a hole in the floor, an opening in the floor. So that's real important. But something else to think about too, we used to crawl because we couldn't see and because we would fall, trip over furniture, whatever the case was. Of course, now with the thermal imager, now that we can actually see, firefighters kind of have a tendency now to want to get up and walk. And of course, I don't have to remind you about the dangers of getting up and walking in a structure fires.
Yeah, well, that's all true. But boy, to finally be able to actually see a victim, boy, that's something.
One other thing to be aware of too, Steve, is there's something that's called thermal inversion, and that can be a problem when you're doing search and rescue.
Now, what is that?
Okay, basically what happens with thermal inversion, it's pretty simple. If we take the imager and we scan around right now and we were to take a look at a person,
Right.
what we would see is they're the lightest thing on the screen because
Okay.
they're the warmest object in the room. Now, if you get into a fire, obviously a victim or a person may not be the warmest thing in the room. Therefore, they would appear darker in color.
Okay, so we're no longer necessarily looking for the, ghostly white image when looking for victims in fire then.
Exactly. If you've got a person, a victim, or a firefighter that's down in a fire,
Yeah.
they may actually appear as a dark object, not a nice light object.
Ah, okay, I see. Thermal imaging must be a great help in overhaul.
Right. You can do a lot in overhaul with a thermal imager. There's no doubt. You're going to cut down on the amount of time you have to spend on your overhaul, the amount of work you have to do. It's really going to cut down on the unnecessary property damage. So, used to be overhaul, you had to find the hot spots the old-fashioned way. You had to take a pike pole and axe, open up the wall, open up the ceiling.
Right.
Now with a thermal imager, you can actually see the hot spots. You know which areas you need to focus your attention on. But a word of caution and some common sense here. The thermal imager is very sensitive. So what may appear to you to be a hot spot that you need to open up or overhaul may not actually be. So don't forget common sense. Check a hot spot maybe with your gloved hand just to see how hot it is before you decide to open up the wall or ceiling.
Right, that makes sense. Okay, so we've talked about the thermal imager in using it for structural firefighting.
Right.
But there has to be a lot of other applications that the thermal imager can be used for.
Exactly. Another example would be wildland firefighting. Prime example there would be you can use it to identify the fire lines from the air. If you could get the unit into a helicopter, or if you can even get it on top of your aerial, if you have a ladder to put it up on the end of, really makes it easy from the air to spot the fire lines and where the fire's actually at through the heavy smoke conditions. You can also use it, of course, to identify your hot spots, just like you did in overhaul. That way you don't have to spend a lot of time out there digging around trying to find the hot spots. Just scan an area and spot them, and then investigate the areas that really stand out. You can also use it to track wildlife. If you've got some horses, cattle on a farm, you can't see them through the smoke conditions, you can find out where they're at and get them out of harm's way.
Yeah, that's interesting. How about hazmat?
Hazmat, that's another really good one. You can do a lot with a thermal imager in hazmat. Obviously, if you have a material that's leaking from any type of container, a vehicle, or a drum, you can actually identify the leaking material and where it's going to. Of course, thing you have to remember, this is something that has a different heat signature than its surroundings. But
Sure.
another Another great use for it is finding out what the level is in the container. If you have a liquid or a solid that's in a container and it's affecting the surface temperature of that container, you can see it. You can actually see the level. Examples of 55-gallon drum. You can spot that. If it's leaking into water and you have a liquid that'll actually float on the surface of water, you can actually identify and see that as well.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Well, Mike, I can tell you that from my perspective, the training implications of using the thermal imager this is fantastic. It really is.
Right. Thermal imager is really going to make a big difference for you in training. If you think about it, if you had realistic smoke conditions, you really can't see your firefighters. You can't see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, with the thermal imager being able to see through smoke, you can actually now see what's going on. You don't have to be right on top of your firefighters interfering with the training. It's also great because you can use the wireless transmitter to actually record what's going on. That way you can go back after the fact, critique the training session, or use the videotape for future training sessions.
And it's light and it's ergonomically designed. It's perfect.
We designed it to be a firefighting tool. That was our intention, and I think it'll work out for you that way.
Yeah. Well, it looks like the applications to this thing are endless.
Exactly. It's really the only thing that limits your ability to use it is your knowledge of thermal imaging. You can understand what it can and can't do. You can use it for administrative duties. If you're going to go out and do building inspections, you could identify overheated wiring, overheated motors. You can even use it to identify someone who's missing. It's great for identifying someone who's lost in the woods at nighttime.
All right. That's a good point. Well, firefighter safety has just jumped many times with this thing.
Exactly. Prime example, there's 4 firefighters that are alive today because they used the thermal imager in Granbury, Texas. They identified some failing structural components, were able to get out of the structure before they had a collapse. It's great for identifying downed firefighters, and they can really help you quickly identify a way to get out. You can quickly spot a window or a door, so it's going to have a huge impact on firefighter safety.
Well, Mike, we've covered the basics of thermal imaging technology. We've covered the Bullard thermal imager itself.
Right.
We've covered all the different applications.
Right.
I think it's a fantastic piece of equipment, and I can't wait to tell the guys about it because I know they're going to be able to use this thing. It's going to save a lot of lives.
Great. I don't have to tell you how important training is. Don't forget to check the newsletter you'll be getting in the mail for a lot of good information on training.
Right.
Give us a call if you have any questions, and always check back to the website. We're always updating it.
Good. Fantastic.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yep.
The video has covered the basics, and it's a good starting point. But now it's up to you to develop your own standard operating procedures and take thermal imaging to the next level in your department. Don't forget, thermal imager is just a tool. It's not intended to replace common sense or basic firefighting tactics. Just like any other tool, you'll need plenty of training and experience, so take every opportunity you get. Also, don't forget, you can get a lot of helpful information from your Bullard Thermal Imaging newsletter or the Bullard Thermal Imaging website. Once again, thanks for buying the Bullard Thermal Imager, and as always, good luck and be safe.
Charlottesville firefighters are investigating the cause of a 2-alarm house fire.
Charlottesville firefighters rescued a man from his smoke-filled home today, and a new piece of equipment helped them save his life. Amanda Martin brings us their story.
I was hanging a dish towel on my back porch, and I saw the smoke and smelled wood burning.
Firefighters rescued this man from an upstairs bedroom, and they say this new thermal imaging camera helped save his life.
I grabbed the camera, and I was able to just physically walk like this with this camera in front of me. And if I put the camera down, it was like just shutting your eyes, like you can't see. And so I was able to sweep around the entire first floor, check the bedrooms.
It only took him 1 minute to search the first floor, and within 5 minutes, found the resident upstairs.
Traditional method is for 2 of us to go in and just crawl and feel our way through a house that is, we don't know the layout of the house. It's completely black with smoke. We have heat conditions. So this camera literally, it would have tripled the time if you're doing a manual search without the camera.
In Charlottesville, Amanda Martin, Dateline 29 News.
Tonight, rescue crews in Madison County have better vision for what they need to do to save lives because their fire chiefs had vision. Eyewitness News reporter David McAnally shows you how seeing is believing and saving.
People aren't expecting this to happen to them. It took them probably 30 seconds once they got into the house to find him. Found him trying to get out.
When hot fire cleared through little Zachary Sheets' house last month, a cool technology tool made the difference.
Life-saving.
A cool technology that relies on heat, body heat to find and save a fire victim's life. Ingalls Fire Department. Thursday night, it was amazing. Middleton Fire Department. All 16 volunteer fire departments in Madison County got one of the $20,000 Bullard brand thermal imaging cameras free. Thanks to a $250,000 grant from Lilly Endowment. The same kind of gear that helped Franklin firefighters find and rescue little Zach.
Yep.
In a simulation, our photographer Russ Grovert saw or didn't see this.
Circle.
You can see my hand there.
Yeah, I can see the basic hand, but the minute you pulled away at all, I lost you.
You're going to go in now and try to find a person in there with the new device.
Right.
And in second,
Thermals, that's what you're seeing.
you saw it
Any-
instantly.
Oh, yeah.
We can go through a house in 2 minutes rather than 10 or 15 minutes.
They've also worked with an auto accident where we've had somebody ejected into a field at night.
Without this grant, you guys ever have one of these?
We probably would have had one, would have taken us about 20 years longer.
So they didn't have it. He could have been burned twice as bad as what he was.
Now look at
What a fantastic opportunity. Now, Zach is still at Riley Hospital recovering from his burns. Thanks to the camera, though, tonight he is celebrating his second birthday.